Thank you, Mr. Reed, for inviting me to speak this evening on this important topic. I don't come here tonight with statistics. I come here with 33 years of experience in law enforcement. So I was a cop for a long time before I came to Congress. I've been to the homes. I've seen the faces of the mothers and the fathers. I've seen the faces of the victims of sexual assault. I've held them in my arms while they cried and fell to the floor in a puddle of tears. These are real people. These are our children. When I was on patrol back in the early 70s, I had a case where I was driving around all night. It was 2 o'clock in the morning. I found this young man wandering the streets. I pulled up and asked him what was wrong. He was sobbing and crying and asking for help. It took him at least an hour, Madam Speaker, an hour before he could really finally tell me what happened to him. He had been abducted and taken to a remote home and raped and assaulted, humiliated and beaten for 2 days. For 2 days. Imagine being in that position. Imagine being a victim of such horrendous crime. My own family has been touched by this, as I know some folks may be listening, and some speaking tonight may have mentioned that. One of my own family members was raped. But I know this from a deeper experience. When I was a homicide detective for the King County Sheriff's Office in the early 80s, I was assigned a case called the Green River serial murder case, where 50 plus women were killed. Now, how did those young girls and women get on the streets? They were abused. They were sexually assaulted at home. They were physically assaulted. They were emotionally assaulted, and they left home. They were raped at home. They were raped by their neighbors. They were raped by their family members, and they ended up on the street. And whose arms did they fall into, Madam Speaker? But the arms of a pimp. Again, to be victimized and raped over and over and over. Sometimes for money, sometimes not. Lives destroyed. Some survived physically, but mentally and emotionally drained. Their lives and spirit ripped from their hearts. This is a crime that until you look into the eyes of the person who's been victimized in such a horrendous way, you never really truly understand the pain and the suffering that they've been through. If they survive, they have a long, long road of recovery. And we call these people survivors. We call them survivors. If they don't, like in the case of the Green River case, they die. Their lives are taken. Madam Speaker, we cannot allow this to continue in this country. I know that every day there's a cop on the street. There's a social worker out there that is dealing with this crime. We have got to stop this. We have got to save the lives of our children. Thank you, Mr. Reed, for holding this hour tonight. Thank you for the opportunity to speak and share some of my story. I yield back.